From the Jennings Communication Building on the campus of Dixie State University, this is Trailblazer Weekly.
What up? Welcome in. We are live on Trailblazer Weekly inside the Jennings Communication Building. I'm your host, Drayson Ball. Glad you joined us today. We have a packed, loaded episode for you today. Head coach John Judkins of the men's basketball team, alongside senior captains Dason Youngblood and Hunter Schofield, will be joining us on today's show. Can't wait to get into it, but let's start, as we always do, with this week's Blazer Beat. Dixie State starts out the season 2-0 in its first games in Division I. The men's basketball team defeats North Dakota and St. Catherine, respectively, in their first two games of the season. Frank Stain led all scores with 19 points in their win over North Dakota, and then Jacob Nichols was the leading scorer for Dixie State in St. Catherine. Their win over the NAIA school, 86-48 in that game. Dixie State looks to continue their season in Denver this weekend on the 12th. Jacob Nichols subsequently was named the Western Athletic Conference Player of the Week due to his performances over the two-game span. Nichols averaged 15.5 points per game on 68.8% shooting. Tremendous outings for him in each of those games. 17 points, 8 rebounds against North Dakota. 8 rebounds was a career high until the next game against St. Catherine. 14 points and 9 rebounds, 2 assists against that St. Catherine squad as the Trailblazers get the 86-48 win there. Women's basketball games have been canceled in a plethora. Obviously, the game against St. Catherine, there was going to be their season opener, was canceled. This is following a season opener against BYU that was canceled earlier in the week. They are hopeful to restart their season and officially begin the D1 era against Park University this Saturday at 3 p.m., hoping to make their D1 debut. Got to get those games in. That is our Blazer Beat, and now as we transition into our question of the day, you know, this hot start by Dixie State, the men's basketball team in the Division I era, got me thinking, you know, a lot about Coach Judkins, and we talk a lot about him, and we're going to have him on the show just a little bit later to get some of his thoughts on the start of the season. But it got me asking the question, what makes Coach Judkins so good? I mean, one of the things that comes to mind, I mean, he's just able to relate to his players so well, and he's able to get the most out of his players. I mean, one of the most important things, in my opinion, for a coach is if you can not only recruit and scout good talent and notice good talent and be able to get them to come play for you, but then it's being able to turn that talent around and get the most out of those players. And I think he does that tremendously well. You know, for someone who's been coaching as long as he has, not always easy to relate to these young 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids, but I think he does a really good job of developing good, solid relationships with those players. And you know, he's been successful at every single level, from Snow College, a junior college, to here at Dixie State as a junior college, and now Division II and Division I. Obviously, he's off to a good start. I think it's just because, you know, he can spot talent and get the most out of that talent, and because of that, he's been so successful. And once a player or a team knows that this is a really successful coach, they buy in. They understand that once you've established yourself as a really good coach, you can buy in. And once you get the players to buy in and really commit and work hard, I think that's one of the most important things that you can do as a coach. And Coach Judkins has been able to do just that. Continuing with Coach Judkins, as we kind of make this, let's make this our Rock Canyon Bank By the Numbers feature about Coach Judkins. And one of the other things that I think is really good at is he's good at making halftime adjustments and really kind of preparing his team, not only coming into the game, but at a halftime break. He's really good at being able to make those adjustments. Here's some of the numbers for you. Over the last season, Dixie State outscored their opponents 244 points last year overall. That includes 176 points. They outscored them in the first half, and they outscored them by 67 points in the second half. So that means Dixie State outscored their opponents in each half overall last season. In fact, Coach Judkins, 11 straight seasons with only single-digit losses. Say that out loud. Almost a dozen years, Coach Judkins has not had more than 10 losses in a season. But that wraps up our first segment. That's our Rock Canyon Bank By the Numbers feature. We're going to come right back in just a minute. We'll be talking with Dason Youngblood and Hunter Schofield right after this quick timeout on Trailblazer Weekly.
Radio Dixie 91.3, Young the Giant, something to believe in.
John, what song do you want to hear?
Next, Miss Calibris. He'll be on the SWAT team, the best SWAT team.
He did a fantastic situation. I should talk to you. I was going to talk to you last time.
Today's show is brought to you by the Dixie State Campus Store, the official source for DSU Trailblazer clothing, providing students with textbooks as well as educational, office, and art supplies. Located on the second floor of the Gardner Center, the Dixie State Campus Store, proud sponsor of Trailblazer Weekly.
Trailblazer Weekly as we march on a Wednesday afternoon live inside the Jennings Communication Building. Glad you joined us today. And my oh my, we've got a lot of good content coming your way. We're loaded. Got a chance to talk to seniors Dason Youngblood and Hunter Schofield a couple of days ago. Two of the captains, in fact, on this Dixie State men's basketball team. And we'll start with Hunter Schofield. You know, a senior on this team after transferring to Dixie State last year, and he was one of the better players on this team last year. And I expect a lot of the same from Hunter this season. Averaged 16.4 points per game in his 2019-2020 season that was cut short back in March, and he's off to a decent start this year as well. Averaged about 8 points per game so far. He's coming off the bench a little bit this year. I think that's maybe one of the roles that he's going to be trying to fill in this season, as Dixie State's just got a loaded, talented squad, and Hunter Schofield is going to be an integral part in that Dixie State team and their success that they're going to have this season. But we had a chance to talk a little bit to Hunter Schofield and get his thoughts on this 2020 season, and he talks about kind of being a leader this year, obviously being named the captain. He talks about stepping into a leadership role as a senior leader this year. Let's hear from Hunter Schofield.
Having our first Division I game, it was exciting. Not quite, I think everyone didn't know what to expect with having it be our first one, and I think we had a little bit of nerves. I think you could see that in the first half. We had a lot of turnovers, you know, kind of took us a while to get rolling, but second half we were able to just kind of let that go and just start playing basketball, and I think that was the coolest part, that we just kind of were able to push all that other stuff aside and focus on playing basketball, and we were able to come out with the win. I mean, one of the biggest challenges with COVID is just the unknown of how the season is going to go. You know, we already had our first game get canceled against Weber State. We were getting excited, getting ready to play, and then all of a sudden, you know, a day before the game, we find out it's not going to happen. So, you know, that's been pretty disappointing, but we just have to stay focused and show up to practice every day, you know, expecting that we are going to play in that game. But I think that's the biggest challenge, is just the unknown of the future of what's going to happen with the season. It's weird not having as many fans there. We love getting all the fans out, so it's, you know, it's kind of sad not being able to have as many people as we want to, but we're lucky that we can have as many fans as we do have, because we know a lot of other teams around the country don't have anybody in there right now. So it was good to be able to still have a little bit of a student section, have a pretty good home-based crowd. I think that really helped us out. Being a leader, you know, being a senior, just being able to step in, being a returner, being here last year, understanding what Coach Judkins wants, what is expected to be on the team, and helping all of the new guys to be able to understand those expectations, to be able to understand what our culture is here at Dixie State, that we show up to practice every day ready to work hard, you know, that we're working hard every day in weights, just showing them what it's like to be a part of a college basketball program, that, you know, just being that example and that leader, showing them how it's done. I think everyone's done a good job of that. I love Coach Judkins. He's been amazing. You know, just off the court, he cares about all of his players, is always interested in what's going on off the court with our lives, with our classes, everything. And I've been able to develop a pretty good personal relationship with him, which I think just adds to his ability to coach, because he knows us, you know, builds that trust with us, that we can trust the things that he says. You know, obviously he's got a lot of experience. We, you know, can lean on him and trust him to be able to lead us into these games, and he's been an amazing coach. We have high expectations for ourselves. We got together as a team before the season started, And we sat down and we talked about it. We talked about how people are doubting us. You know, people are kind of setting the bar low for us because it is our first Division I year. But, you know, we said that we're just going to forget about that and we're going to set our own expectations. And we said that we don't see any reason why we can't come in and win the league our first year. So, you know, we've set high expectations for ourselves. And now we're to the point where we just need to keep showing up to practice and showing up to the games and trying our best to live up to those expectations.
Well, he had an incredible year for us last year, making all first team all conference. Jack obviously being named the MVP of our conference last year. Those two kind of took over the team, so we're expecting a lot out of Hunter. He was voted as a captain this year, him and Dason from our players. We have our players pick our captains. That tells you right there where the guys think he is as a leader. He kind of leads more, both those guys kind of lead more by example and stuff more than with their mouths. I try to get him to talk more. So if you got him to talk, that's great. But no, he gets it. He understands what he has to do, and he's one of the first guys in the gym, and you know, one of the last guys to leave. And he works so hard, he'll get back into shape really, really quick. So you'll see him just keep getting better and better every week.
I loved what Coach Judkins had to say about Hunter Schofield, one of the senior leaders on this Dixie State team this year. And one of the things I failed to mention is Coach Judkins mentioned and pointed out that last season Hunter Schofield named first team All-RMAC after breaking Dixie State's single season scoring record. One of the things that may have gone unnoticed a little bit about Hunter Schofield, broke Dixie State's single season scoring record with 491 points last year. He was third in career scoring average at 16.4 points per game. What a great season from Hunter Schofield, and I know he's looking to continue that dominance this season in Division I. But next up, we have got Dason Youngblood. We talked to him a little while ago, and again, one of the other senior leaders and a captain on this team for head coach John Judkins. He scored 8 points versus North Dakota and 7 versus St. Catherine, along with 4 assists and 3 blocks. And he is one of the most important people, one of the important players on this team for Dixie State. He's going to talk about kind of his expectations for Division I, and as well as those that the team set for this first season in D1. We'll talk to Dason. Here he is.
So our first game, we had a lot of jitters. A lot of guys are nervous, and we were really excited because we weren't able to play since March, you know. So we were really excited to play, and it showed in the first half with some of our turnovers, some of the shots we were taking. We just don't do those things. But in the second half, we settled down, and we were able to focus on our game plan more and play to the best of our abilities. So I think after we settled down, we were able to just play loose and have fun and play the game we love. We have to test a lot. We have to make sure we're wearing our masks. We got to social distance. We got to do all those little restrictions. And then during the game, we have to sit in the chairs differently. We have to social distance during the game, and then wear masks as well. So I think those are challenges. Some of the things we've gotten out of it is that we know we can face adversity, and I feel like everyone mentally is getting stronger from that, and I feel great that we're able to get through this and everyone's just pushing through. My first role is to lead by example. I think I've always been able to do that, and then I've been able to go off that and talk to guys and use dialogue with them. I feel like I've gotten a lot better than that, and I've increased the way I've talked to guys, and I've just been here a while, so I just have a lot of knowledge. So I think I've just been able to help them just with little things, just with preparing, just getting early to practice, just with just little things that makes the team better over time. I think a reason why he's always had great teams because he's always been able to treat all the players the same, right? So if he's had star players, he'd still treat them with the same respect as the 14th or 15th player. So he's always been able to get on guys. It doesn't matter who they are. He never really played any favorites. He's always been strict, and it shows. You know, everyone respects him, everyone listens, everyone wants to play for him, everyone wants to win, and that's just kind of been his tradition here. You know, you don't see him picking favorites for seniors or the freshmen or the star players. It doesn't matter. You know, he's just trying to win. Our goal is to win the WAC regular season title. You know, obviously we're not able to play in the WAC tournament or the national tournament, so that's our highest goal that we can achieve. So we're doing everything we can to try to win the WAC, and I feel like in non-conference we'll be able to get better and better, and then by conference we'll be ready to play.
Done a great job. I mean, to see these guys grow up, I was just talking to my boss, Jason Booth, this morning, and we were talking about the development and how these guys have just grown up right before our face, you know, and Dason's one of those guys. I mean, he's just, his game is so much better than what it was when he got here. He handles the ball well. He can play both positions, which I love, the point and the off guard, but he brings toughness. He's strong. You know, he had, 3 block shots the other night, had a nice dunk down the middle of the lane. I mean, he's just athletic and explosive and brings that toughness to us as well. So again, same thing, he's a great leader with his example, what he does, expects guys, he talks and gets them in the right spots. We feel he's going to be a big part of our team this year as well.
That's Dason Youngblood, senior guard on this Dixie State men's basketball team. Started in both games so far this season. In fact, last season started in 28 of 30 games, and you heard Coach Judkins mention he takes care of the ball, and does he ever. In fact, he led the RMAC last season, did Dason Youngblood, in assist to turnover ratio, almost 3-to-1, a 3 assists to 1 turnover ratio. He was an all RMAC honorable mention pick last season, and what an important player Dason Youngblood is to this team, and not only just what he does on the court. Obviously, he looks to distribute. He had 4 assists against St. Catherine in their win just the other day, but he's one of those guys that you want to have on your team, that you need to have on your team. Coach Judkins mentioned he's a lead by example guy, and I think that's one of the more important things that you need on this season and on this team for Dixie State as they go through the adversity that they have with transitioning into Division I and obviously the COVID restrictions. And Dason Youngblood is one of the most important players on this team for Dixie State. But we've got to take another timeout. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about head coach John Judkins about what's it like preparing for Division I games instead of Division II, and look at his thoughts on their victories over the first 2 games of the season. Back after this timeout on Trailblazer Weekly.
1, 2, 3, 4. 0.52 kilograms. This graph is square.
Pretty close.
Artemisia is all the sagebrush, but there's your needle and thread. Which one is this?
Come down. Turn please, right? Sodium carbonate.
Radio Dixie 91.3. We don't play that. Nope, not that. A big fat no there. That's what we play. And stuff like that. On St. George's only alternative, Radio Dixie 91.3. Oh, and from 9 till midnight, we play this. I need a one dance. And this. Radio Dixie 91.3 FM.
Welcome back inside Trailblazer Weekly. We had a chance to talk to head coach John Judkins, and one of the best coaches, not only in college basketball, one of the best coaches in the state at any level, in my opinion. I mean, I've talked about this before with some of my friends and alumni, and Coach Judkins, we knew, was going to be a Division I coach one day. We didn't really expect it to be here at Dixie State. We obviously hoped that Dixie State would make the transition as they have into Division I, but we always knew that head coach John Judkins, if he wanted to, could be a Division I coach in college basketball, and obviously he gets that chance now at Dixie State, entering his 28th season as head coach at a college basketball program. Spent 12 years at Snow College and had a very successful resume there. 284 wins. wins to 128 losses, a 689 winning percentage there, and then obviously came to Dixie State back in 2005, and has had a lot of success in his tenure here at Dixie State. And what a coach John Judkins is. We talked to him a couple days ago, and he had a chance to tell us what he thought about getting your first win in your first game in Division I and their victory over North Dakota. He talks about that and more. Here's head coach John Judkins.
I thought our guys were excited. They were real bummed that they didn't get to play the Weber State game, and so even probably had even more drama added to it of being overexcited to play. But I thought we did some good things. First half, I thought we were trying to do too much, trying to make fancier passes, all these perfect stuff, and we just said make the easy play, make the easy plays. In the second half, I thought we did that. We shared the ball better. Our assist went up better. Our shooting percentage went up better. Going back and watching film, yeah, we missed foul shots. We shot a couple bad shots. When you have a lead like that, you need to, I wouldn't say stall, but you got to get a good shot. We always say give up a good shot for a better shot. And I thought we kind of rushed some things, and then, like I said, we missed foul shots. And then give them credit. We didn't lay down and just let them score. I mean, they hit some big shots, some big threes. That was a good win. That's something that we'll never forget, and I think set a record here, our first Division I game. I'll tell you what, it's junior college to Division II to Division I. Where I see the difference is just they're bigger, they're stronger, they're quicker. All three areas I've coached with junior college and Division II and Division I, it seems like you always have to make adjustments later in the game, and that's something I think our staff's really good at, our players are good at, and hopefully we can keep that going. But it's a lot of the same stuff. You're just you're adjusting on the fly, especially these first games, because you don't have a lot of film on them, and so you're trying everything you can to get stuff. It's just a little tougher, but then also it's tougher for them to get it on us too. So it works out about the same. It's been good and bad. I'll start off with the bad. The bad, like I said, is the guys are so excited to play in front of people. The new guys coming in this year don't get it because they haven't played here before. They don't get how great our fans are and our base. The guys from returners from last year and the year before, they understand how important that is, and it was different. It was different. That was number one. But I thought that, the 500 or 600 people that we had there, it was nice to have them, and they were making a lot of noise. It felt good. Talking to North Dakota, that's what he said too. He goes, at least you got fans. The last couple of games they played in, they had nobody there. We're going this weekend to Denver, no fans are allowed. So it's gonna be weird. So those are kind of the negative. The thing that's weird for me too is having our bench across, being just changing your comfort, where your comfort and where you're used to coaching. That's kind of weird, but we're adjusting to that and see how that goes. The talking I can hear guys talk better, and it helps our guards hear a ball screen coming because you can hear it more than when you have a lot of people in there. So that's kind of an advantage. Another advantage is I wear a mask, so I can yell at the refs and they can't hear me as well. No, just tease it. No, but it's been different. There's no question, and the timeouts are different because you got to sit in a certain chair. Everybody's got to go to their certain. It's a lot different than what we're used to. But the thing I'm happy with it is at least we're playing, and there's times that they thought about even canceling the whole season, and I'm glad they didn't do that. We play for these players and also for the fans. They need to get out. They're stuck in their house all day long or at work. It's a good thing for everybody. So hopefully we can keep them going, but it is different.
Head coach John Judkins looking for his 570th career win as a college head coach as Dixie State travels to Denver this weekend to take on the Pioneers this Saturday. In fact, a team that won just 7 games last year did the Denver Pioneers, and certainly a team that Dixie State feels like they can go in on the road. Joe Judkins mentions no fans. It's not going to be really a home game for Denver. It's almost going to feel like more of a neutral site game against the Denver Pioneers, but Dixie State takes on Denver this Saturday, December 12th at 1 p.m. You can catch that game on the WAC Digital Network. And, I loved what Coach Judkins said about, just getting kind of your feet wet and the differences between Division II and Division I and having no fans in the stadiums. It's certainly going to be an interesting year, and I can't wait to continue it. But we're going to take a timeout. When we come back, we'll name a player of the week, we'll see a highlight of the week, and we'll talk about the game of the week after this quick timeout on Trailblazer Weekly.
There's a rush coming.
Let's rush best 9 plays from last week in Region 9. Number 1 better be good.
One-handed grab, and Luke Wright is going to score a touchdown on one of the better grabs you'll ever see in high school football.
Lawrence, are you going to do anything, or are you just going to sit there?
This is Henry Bouchard, Cape Girardeau, Missouri. I never found a customer base more in need of fine American-made sucking power than I found up and down the Wasatch Front in the mid-1980s.
There's one thing coaches love, it's media guys telling them how good or bad their team is.
My pick for the 4A state championship this year when it comes to football is the Stansbury Stallions.
Give me a break. This isn't a contest about who can shovel the most corn silage. I like Pine View.
Today's show is brought to you by Rock Canyon Bank, serving Utah businesses and agriculture for over 25 years, with locations in Pleasant Grove, Orem, Provo, Spanish Fork, Fillmore, and at 94 East Tabernacle, right here in St. George. Rock Canyon Bank, back to banking. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Welcome back inside Trailblazer Weekly. Want to give one final shout out to our great sponsors of the show, Rock Canyon Bank and the Dixie State Campus Store. And as we mentioned with the Dixie State Campus Store and before the break, let's name a Dixie State Campus Store Player of the Week. Haven't been able to do this for a little while as we haven't had games, but we're going back to the Campus Store Player of the Week, and this week has to be Jacob Nichols, as he was named the Western Athletic Conference Player of the Week. So we obviously had to name him the Player of the Week here on our show. The Campus Store Player of the Week is Jacob Nichols. 15.5 points per game over the 2 games and the 2 wins Dixie State had over North Dakota and St. Catherine last week. 8.5 rebounds, 1.5 assists per game in those 2 games, and 68.8% field goal percentage. A tremendous start to the season for Jacob Nichols. He's one of the guys that works the hardest on this team. He has worked so hard to improve and get better, and he's starting for the Dixie State squad, and he is just one of the good ones for this Dixie State squad. Now let's take a look at our highlight of the week, and that comes from Dixie State's win over St. Catherine, and it is Dason Youngblood. He had one of the highlights of the week. Let's take a look at that highlight. As you see, Dason gets the ball, rolls down the lane, and throws it down, a 2-handed dunk. Dason Youngblood against St. Catherine. One of the toughest dunks is you don't really have a whole lot of momentum. He kind of dribbles baseline and gets around his guy and was able to kind of jump off one foot there and throw it down with 2 hands. And don't see that too often. It's just a 6'2" point guard is Dason Youngblood, but certainly has the hops to get up and throw that one down, and that is our highlight of the week. And as for our game of the week, I think it's pretty simple what our game of the week is going to be, and it's women's basketball versus Park University. Got to get this game in. We got to start getting these games in. Obviously, we've had a couple of cancellations. The first 3 games of the season that were scheduled for the Dixie State women's basketball team, they were all canceled. They were all postponed and canceled. Due to COVID restrictions within one team or the other, and so we weren't able to get those games in. This weekend, we got to get this game in against Park University. It's Saturday at 3 p.m., and hopefully once we get this game in, we can get kind of the ball rolling, and hopefully things can get a little bit better as far as COVID goes. But that's our game of the week. Dixie State opens up their first Division I game and the first Division I season at inside the Burns Arena on Saturday at 3 p.m. at Park University. I'm really looking forward to seeing this women's basketball team. They lost a lot of good talent last year. Allie Franks was one of the top 3 scorers ever in the history of Dixie State women's basketball, and so they've got to kind of replace a lot of offensive production. Maddie Loftus is another player that was a good offensive contributor that Dixie State will have to replace this year, but they've got a lot of good returners. Lennon Pavlika, Kesley Stevenson, along with a few others returning for this Dixie State squad. But that will do it for this week's edition of Trailblazer Weekly. Once again, want to Encourage you to follow us at DSU Blazer Weekly on Twitter and Instagram, and Trailblazer Weekly on Facebook. Thanks so much for everyone here at CEC TV. We'll see you next week on Trailblazer Weekly.